Welcome back to the Global Local, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to come hang out with me. For you guys that are new to my channel, welcome aboard. I hope you get something out of today's video. And for the guys that's been with me for a while, as always, what's going on, bros? Hope you guys are okay. Hope your families are well. Today I'm back on the road again, as always, and so I can talk about today's topic, which is, can you really survive on $500 a month in the Philippines? And that's kind of a reality check. Now, I had someone recently tell me that $500 is a lot of money compared to the locals, and living here on that budget would be more than enough to live comfortably. So, with all due respect, I have to be honest. And with that said, to each his own. So, let me go ahead and be real for the rest of us that know how hard it actually can be living out here on that kind of budget. Now, on paper, yeah, that sounds like a tropical dream come true. $500 a month, living in paradise. You got your beaches and your women and your good drinks, and you can just live this big grand lifestyle on that kind of money. Yeah, okay. Let's get to the truth, all right? It's much more complicated than that. The reality is, it's technically possible to live out here on $500 a month, but it requires an immense sacrifice, a major lifestyle change. And to be honest, in my personal opinion, I think it should only be considered as a last resort, or something like, you're escaping homelessness in your home country. So retiring in the Philippines is more feasible. And, you got an income of $500 a month. And you can live out here, but let me tell you something. You're going to live exactly like the locals live. All right. Your Western lifestyle is gone at that point. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a better idea of what I'm talking about. All right. $500 in USD. If you use British pounds, you're gonna need about 395 British pounds. If you're using Canadian dollars, you're gonna need about 685. And if you're using Australian dollars, you're gonna need about 760, roughly according to today's exchange rate. And that's gonna give you that's gonna put you at the $500 USD threshold, or 28,000 pesos. All right. No matter how you slice this thing up, I don't care what currency it is. This is bare bones budget in most of any part of the world. Now, again, living on $500 a month means abandoning most of your Western comforts and embracing a lifestyle that many locals themselves work hard to escape. This kind of budget is closer to survival than it is comfortable living. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break down your budget just for the basics here in the Philippines on that budget. So to keep you within that budget, you're most likely going to be renting a small room or an apartment in the province in a low-cost neighborhood outside of major cities. Price range anywhere between $100 to $150. Foreign Western, the westernized condominiums and beachfront views, yeah, you're not going to get that. All right, we're talking about basic housing with minimal amenities, possibly no air conditioning too. Unreliable plumbing is probably something that you're going to have to expect, and you're going to have borderline electricity, or should I say tapped electricity, and they do tap out here. That pretty much means that you can hook your house up to the next house, and then whoever has the meter, they're going to charge you based on your percentages, how much percent that you use of electricity, or whatever, however they calculate it. But you open yourselves up to even a scam at that point, because they can overcharge you, say you use this much when you really didn't. You probably paying the whole bill yourself. Next, we're going to go ahead and jump over to your laundry services. You're going to be having Laba Day. Laba Day is laundry day here in the Philippines. And yeah, you're going to do it like the locals out here. It's going to be probably hand washed, or, if you got a little extra money on you, you probably can send it to the laundry. Laundry here isn't that expensive. You can do a load out here for about 180 to 250 pesos, maybe $5 a load. In some areas, $3 a load in other areas. All right. And you got to multiply that by what? If you do it once a week, you can multiply that by 4. So if it's 250, that's 1,000 pesos, $20 for laundry. All right. Next, we're going to jump over to food. Yeah, you're going to spend about $100 to $150 in food out here. But eating out regularly, that's not an option for you at this point. You'll be shopping at local wet markets, cooking simple meals like rice, vegetables, and occasional meats or fish. All right, occasional. All right, imported goods are often off the table, man. You might as well cancel that out. There's no S&R for you at this point. All right, street food may become a common part of your diet as well, like they call it Betamaxes. I think it's like boiled pig blood and some chicken heads, chicken feet, chicken intestines, the esau, and stuff like that. That's cheap meals out here, and yeah, you can afford stuff like that if you eat a lot, but yeah. That's not something that I highly recommend on a daily basis. All right, let's jump back over to utilities. Yeah, you're gonna spend about $40 to $60 out here. Moralco really don't play. They really don't care your financial situation. They'll charge you and they'll cut your stuff off as soon as you don't pay, like within the day. All right, so and you can expect to pay extra if you want to stay cool during the tropical heat. And let me tell you something, it gets extremely hot out here. This summer alone has been record breaking out here in the Philippines. Running an electric fan, yeah, that's manageable. Air conditioning regularly, it's out of the question at this point. Because if you run your air conditioning, you're probably going to pay anywhere between 18,000 pesos for running it all day. And guess what? That's out of your budget. Internet might be slow and unstable, especially in rural areas if you can't afford to live in a more up-to-date area. Mobile data will most likely be your main connection, so make sure you keep a load on your phone. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to transportation. Yeah, you're going to spend about 20 to 30 bucks on transportation. And, you'll be relying heavily on jeepneys, tricycles, or walking. Forget about owning your own car or taxis or even getting an e-bike, man. Like, you're really going to have to depend get around how the locals get around on, public transportation and stuff like that. So, again, that's something that you got to understand if you decide to live on this budget. Me personally, I will live, close to some of the, stores or whatnot to keep it more convenient for me if I could. All right, moving on to medical and emergencies. You're going to have to save about $20 to $50 to be safe. That's just my opinion. I think it's highly recommended that you do that. All right, healthcare in the Philippines is affordable if nothing goes wrong. But anything serious, like you break a bone or you done got a big laceration and you done lost a lot of blood or whatnot, yeah, you're gonna put yourself in a financial disaster with this kind of budget. You'll probably rely heavily on low-cost government health care. I think they call it a line-in out here. And, as far as the scopes of quality, yeah, it's going to be very limited. If they stitch you up out here, you're going to be walking around here like Frankenstein permanently. I've seen people that have had surgery, and yeah, them stitching today, they don't do too good on that, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Jumping over to social life and entertainment, yeah, you could think again on that one. Going out for drinks, eating in restaurants, or traveling around the country, yeah, not happening. All right. Your social life will revolve around free or extremely cheap activities. Even a single movie or like a trip to a coffee shop can be a luxury at this budget. All right. You have a lot of potential risks that you're going to be taking on living out here in the Philippines on $500 a month. All right. Health risks, isolation, emergencies, and dependence. All right. Many expats living this way end up relying on local partners or friends for support, all right, which can be unstable. It can cause tension. A lot of Filipino women, they guys come out here and get a girlfriend. These girls, they don't want nobody that can't afford their lifestyle. And their lifestyle is below, of course, for the most part, is below that 25,000 peso lifestyle or $28,500 mark. But that's all for her bills. That's pretty much going to be all for her. If you got a girlfriend, you're going to have to come up with another $500 for you. Now, let's be honest. $500 a month in the Philippines, it's not a good look, man. It's really not. This isn't a retirement strategy, in my opinion. It's most likely for survival. You might make it work for a few months while you regroup or rebuild your finances, but it's not something to be, bragging about. Yeah, I live on $500 a month, man. You're really not living a good life. Yeah, you got a life, but you're not living a life. You know what I mean? And some people do it. I'm not going to say that they don't. Some people do live on $500 and they live comfortably on it. And if that is your case, man, more power to you. I hope everything goes good in your favor. All right. But that kind of budget in my world, that requires grit, humility, and willingness to live with very little. You need to remember that you'll be stripped of common comforts. You'll be consistently walking a financial tightrope. This lifestyle is best seen as a temporary situation, not a long-term pain. All right. If you're considering this, go in with open eyes. All right. A clear budget and a backup plan is very necessary at this budget. Make sure you're strict with your budget. Make sure that you don't overspend your budget. No matter what the situation is, you allocate money for where the money's supposed to go, and you'll probably be able to make it on that budget. All right. If you guys have any questions to me, holler at me in the comment section, man. That's all that I got for you guys. Make sure you take care of yourself. Love yourself as always. I'm always tell you guys that. All right. Until next time, holler at your boy. Peace out, bro.